I know they're not the cheapest, but you get what you pay for. All right, guys, hang on to your hats. This one is a cracker. So this is something that comes up quite often, and I definitely know that it's one that our members and a lot of builders struggle with dealing with this situation. So, Amelia, what do you suggest that a builder can do if they're dealing with a client that is expecting a detailed proposal that basically has a line item cost beside every item? Because I know this one can really just make you sink back and think, oh my God, like, how am I going to handle this? What am I going to do? And it may not even be a client. It could come from a designer or architect as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think that there's actually lots of builders that just create quotes or proposals like this by standard. They just put together their proposals with all of either the trade packages or what's included in the project, and they just put a price point besides each of those, and then they put the total at the bottom. Now, something that I teach homeowners regularly is that when they are seeking prices for their project from builders, that they shouldn't expect a line item quote or proposal. They should expect a line item scope and then a total project cost. What is really important to understand in the psychology of how a homeowner looks at how their home is put together and how you, the builder, present this information is that the more you break down the cost of delivering the project into this line item, the more you are treating the job of delivering their finished home like a shopping cart of items. Like they're literally walking into a supermarket, walking around the aisles and picking items off a shelf, putting them into the trolley and then walking out to the cash register. And that is not the process of delivering a home. When homeowners see this line item costing, what they'll inevitably do is they'll start pulling out lines. If the prices come in, which potentially it will, because homeowners generally expect their home to cost less than what it actually does cost to build or renovate, they'll see these line item costs and then they'll start pulling items out. They might go and get an alternative quote from another kitchen joiner or from another electrician who inevitably will price it at cheaper, and then they'll say to you as the builder, look, we don't want to use your kitchen joiner, we don't want to use your electrician, we've been able to get this for less. Or they'll start seeing what they can pull out, shopping the lines to try and get that price down to a lower item. And it is that same thing of when they might walk into a supermarket and instead of the premium item or the nice level, the nice cheese, they might decide just to get the black and gold brand today because that's what they're going to do to balance their budget. At the end of the day, they're not paying you to walk around a supermarket, pick off the items and package it together in a finished home. They are paying you as a building business to deliver a finished home that's going to stand the test of time, be good quality, be delivered on time, be as headache-free as possible. And that means that you as a business owner should be using the kinds of trades that you can rely upon, be using the kinds of products that you can stand behind. They won't always be the least expensive ones. And by putting it into a line item costing, unfortunately, what you do is you let the client then start to dictate to you who you should be using and where you can possibly get things for less when that may not be in the best interests of your building business or in their home and the quality that you're going to be able to deliver.
Yeah, it's a massive can of worms, this one. And I have so many different opinions on it. And for me, it's no different to taking your car to a tyre shop to get a new set of tyres. Like, you can get a tyre for $400 or you can get a tyre for $100. Is a $100 tyre going to stick to the road or cause you an accident in the wet weather? And there is so much. And I think it's important to educate clients on these types of things, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're shopping for, you're always going to find a cheaper person. Like I know in my business, we use the trades we use because of their quality, because of their standard.
And the relationships that you've built with them over a long period of time. So you know that if there's a delay, you'll be able to call them and say, hey, you've got to wait a couple of days, but you know that they'll come back because they like working with you and that they know that they can be reliable in that regard.
And more importantly, their knowledge. Like our Sparky is just incredibly knowledgeable. He's a young guy, but we've got a couple of Sparkies, but they are very good at what they do. I know they're not the cheapest, but you get what you pay for. And they communicate very well with our team. They deliver on our jobs. And that flows through everyone. Like our plumber is great. Our plasterer is incredible. Our painters are great. And it's taken us years and years and years to build those relationships. But I know for a fact, if we were to do a light item cost with our client, they would find a cheaper price on every single one of those. But the difference is, I know when my trade does it, it's going to be a great job. It's going to be to my expectation. There's not going to be defects. I'm not going to have to hold everyone's hand. And like we've just found, like back in the past when we had those situations where we were letting clients do their own trades, it was just every single time it was a disaster. You have to hold their hand. They like, because the other thing, part of this is 9 times out of 10, the client's managing them. So you as
when they bring them in as an external,
you as a builder hasn't had an opportunity to meet with them, see their past work, like check any of that sort of stuff out. So you then end up with on a job with a contractor that you don't normally use. You're paying them less than what you normally would pay. You're holding their hand on everything. They leave the job thinking that the job's fine and perfect because that's the quality and the expectation that other builders let them get away with. And then the client's whinging at you because they then want all this stuff fixed, and you're like, well, I didn't even engage this person. I warned you about what was going to happen.
And it's in your contract and you're wearing the responsibility of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like that's a topic for another day. But yeah, like if work is happening on your job site, you as a builder and the head contractor, you are responsible, whether the client selected them or not. But like, is there processes that people could use or builders can use to get around this?
Yeah, I think it's understanding why homeowners want to see this, and it's usually because they feel that that's the way that they get transparency, and that they can trust that you're actually delivering something and you're not ripping them off. Homeowners are really understandably nervous. I mean, they've seen all the same current affair articles that we have in the industry about the dodgy operators and the sharks and the cowboys who take people for a ride. And I have loads of homeowners telling me they just feel like they're walking around with a target on their forehead, waiting to be taken advantage of. And when they're only doing this once or twice, it's more money than they've ever spent on anything, and they know what it means to them. It's understandable that they feel that they need to see how that money is going to be spent so that they can trust that you're not going to rip them off, that you're not just shoving, and jacking up prices just for the sake of it. The thing to help a client understand is that transparency and then being able to see all of this and trusting that you're going to do a good job, they're two very different things. And so it's important that in your building business, you actually look for opportunities to build that trusting relationship with them so that they feel that you're operating with transparency, integrity, in a reliable way, and they don't wait until this proposal to be questioning or knowing whether you're actually going to do the job that they're asking of you. And that's using things like the PAC process and those types of things. But that when they trust you, they won't expect to see how you price their home, because they'll be trusting you to deliver their home the way that you see fit to meet their expectations of the quality that they require.
Yeah, and like my other big thing with this is that like transparency is great, but if you don't have a scope of works behind a figure, then the figure's worth nothing. And like to me, a very detailed and broken down scope of works for every single aspect of a job is far more valuable than any dollar line, like breakdown of costings, because if you don't have that, you don't know what this plaster is doing, what this plaster is doing.
Exactly.
Like this plaster might have 90 mil corners, this plaster might allow for square set. Like,
yep.
So the price on the bottom of a page at the end of the day means absolutely nothing if you haven't got a very, very detailed scope of works to go with it. But another huge part of this is builders knowing their numbers and having the confidence to know that they're running a proper business, a professional business, and educating a client on how they're going to deliver it.
Most definitely. And I think, that point of ensuring that you've got a line item scope, I say to homeowners, that's what you want to see, because you want to be able to understand that this builder has actually interpreted everything that's in your drawings, in your specifications, that they've even read what you've put together in order to ask them for this pricing, and that is actually far more valuable for you as a homeowner to see what's been excluded, what's been included, and see that they actually have thought through how they're going to deliver your home, and they understand all the ingredients in making that happen. I've received prices from builders where I have had the very detailed proposal, and I've received from another builder literally 2 lines on a page. Now, you can understand as a homeowner why you wouldn't trust the builder that has done literally 2 lines on a page and put a price against it to have been thorough in the way that they've looked at those drawings. And yet it's much easier to be able to trust that builder that has detailed out that home in a proper line item scope, and then put a price at the bottom that they've thought through thoroughly what that actually includes. Knowing your numbers is incredibly important, because you can then educate the client about what it takes to actually deliver a home. And, clients are getting their point of reference about building and renovating not from the experience of what it actually takes to build and renovate a home, but from things like reality TV, stories that they hear from friends and things like that. And they really can't understand what it costs to run a building business, what it costs to wear the responsibility long term of delivering a home, all of those types of things.
Differences between 2 business models.
Insurances.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, so knowing your numbers, being able to confidently position yourself as the authority in what you do, being able to take the time to educate clients why you do things the way that you do and why it costs what it costs. Clients, in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, clients, what they want and then what they want to spend, generally their budget is about half to 3/4 of where it needs to be for their home. So it'll always be a rude shock. You've got lots of opportunity as a builder to really shepherd them through that, recognise yourself as the expert and the authority that does this every day, and build in mechanisms in the way you communicate with them that build trust into that process, so that you don't have to break down your project costs into a line item scope that then they just treat like a shopping list.
Yeah, so focus on scopes of works and try and avoid the line item cost.